This month on Connections. Our travels around Chicagoland begin in Lincoln Park, at a museum that brings visitors closer to nature. Then, as we head west on the number 77 bus, we'll tell you about one award-winning employee whose work maintaining fare boxes ensures smooth travel for CTA customers. A quick transfer to the number 56 Milwaukee Avenue bus takes us south through Logan Square, where fun new storefronts are cropping up beside landmark buildings. As we head over to the Blue Line at Western Avenue, we'll tell you about efforts to keep CTA buses and trains clean for customers, and fill you in on a project that, in the future, could improve connections. We'll give you an update on the Haunted L, then take the Green Line to the Adams Street Station, one of many CTA stops where you can get a running view of the Chicago Marathon. As we continue south, we'll talk about all the ways the CTA can take you to your favorite sports venues. Finally, at Garfield Station, we'll transfer to the number 55 bus, which takes us to our last stop, the Smart Museum of Art in Hyde Park. There's lots to see and do in Chicagoland, and the best way to get there is on board the CTA.
Hi, I'm Dale Rivera. Welcome to Connections, where you can learn all about using the CTA in and around Chicago. This is a city that celebrates nature, from its parks to its lakefront. And if you want to learn more about them, there's even a place for that. The Notebaert Nature Museum is our first stop.
Just outside of Chicago's downtown, you can explore the outdoors at the Notebaert Nature Museum. The Notebaert Nature Museum opened in 1999 to give Chicagoans of all ages an appreciation for the landscape and wildlife of northeastern Illinois.
We help teach them that it doesn't require going out to where there are mountains or oceans in order to observe nature, but that you can really see it here in Chicago, in your own backyard, in your neighborhood park, and out in the forest preserves.
Inside the Nature Museum, you can learn all about the animals that roamed the prairies before the settlers arrived. The museum also has interactive exhibits like this one, called Riverworks, which allows children to play and learn about Chicago's waterways at the same time. You can find out about environmental issues in your own home at the Extreme Greenhouse exhibit, and take a stroll through Mysteries of the Marsh for an up-close look at animals that live in the wetlands. The goal of the museum is to give visitors a hands-on experience with nature.
I love the fact that people here can see nature up close. The fact that we have interpreters out on the floor at almost any time you come, showing people a frog, letting people touch a snake, learning about their life cycles, and the fact that people may end up with a lifelong love of nature from coming to the Nature Museum is what I find the most fulfilling.
One exhibit you won't want to miss is the museum's Butterfly Haven. Here, you're surrounded by butterflies from areas in the Midwest and as far away as Asia and Africa.
It houses at any one time up to 1,000 butterflies, 75 different species from Chicago and around the world, and it's a really intimate way for visitors to get up close to butterflies and see all their beautiful colors and patterns.
Inside the Butterfly Haven, you can learn about the life cycles, migration, and behavior of butterflies. The museum also has the only butterfly breeding lab of its kind in North America.
This is just awesome because there's so many and they have done such a great job the way they put everything together. I just can't believe how many there are.
Outside the Nature Museum's back door, step onto a wandering path and you'll find yourself immersed in a grass prairie full of the native plants that once populated Chicago. And up on the rooftop, you'll see the museum has gone green itself with 17,000 square feet of rooftop gardens as well as solar panels. If you're ready to start exploring the Notebaert Nature Museum, here's how the CTA can take you there. So step off the CTA and into the Notebaert Nature Museum for a day of learning, splashing, and all-around fun.
It's so nice to have places like this in the city.
We're about to head west on the number 77 bus, a perfect time to recognize the team of CTA employees, and one champion in particular, whose job it is to maintain something many take for granted, the farebox. Their attention to detail ensures swift and smooth travel for CTA customers on the move.
The CTA provides 1 million bus rides each day, and whether customers are stepping on board with a Chicago card, transit card, or cash, the CTA has employees hard at work to make sure its bus revenue equipment is in top condition. Bus farebox technician Tony Lazaro is one of the CTA employees who helps to make sure the fare equipment is well maintained on the CTA's more than 2,000 buses.
Tony is a person that is behind the scenes working on the equipment, making sure that through preventative maintenance and timely repairs that the equipment is working. So you're not going to see a person like Tony on an everyday basis, but he is an important piece of the puzzle for CTA to keep the system in service, working reliably.
On the job, Tony takes bus revenue equipment apart, cleans it, fixes it, and puts it back together. And he's good at what he does. So good, in fact, he not only won first prize in the bus farebox technician category at the 2005 CTA Rodeo, last month he was crowned champion again for 2006. Tony encourages his coworkers to join him in the competition.
I'm telling them I'm doing a Lance Armstrong. I'm going for 7 years, and hopefully they could try to bring me down.
During the rodeo competition, Tony had to fix problems he found on the bus fare boxes that handle cash, transit cards, and Chicago cards. For Tony, the rodeo competition was a day to show his stuff and have fun.
It's good. It's a little adrenaline rush. We're just a small department, so it's good saying you're number one.
So remember, the next time that you step on board a CTA bus, there are people like Tony working hard behind the scenes every day to make sure your journey on the CTA goes smoothly.
A quick transfer to the number 56 Milwaukee bus takes us south to a neighborhood that's attracting cutting-edge style and culture while still keeping close to its roots. The Logan Square area is our destination.
Stepping off the number 56 Milwaukee Avenue bus in Logan Square, you're in a community that celebrates its rich history, cultural diversity, and artistic flair. One neighborhood landmark you won't want to miss right on Milwaukee Avenue is the Logan Theater, which opened its doors more than 70 years ago.
It's been in my family since 1932. Initially, the theater was a Nickelodeon with a piano player and whatnot. And we've seen a progression of talking pictures, CinemaScope.
In 1990, the Logan Theater was multiplexed from one theater into 4 small screens. But some things haven't changed. A bit of retro lighting, the old-style marquee, and mouth-watering, freshly popped popcorn. The theater's goal has always been to serve the Logan Square community. One film is always rated G or PG for children, and the tickets are a modern-day bargain at $3 for everyone, any time of day.
We give them a good value for their dollar, and we can compete with any theater, I believe, on the projection of our pictures, the quality of our pictures, and the sound, of course.
There is a little catch at the Logan Theater. The movies now showing aren't quite first run, so you may have to wait a month to see a recent release. Still, a $3 ticket and a step back in time could be worth the wait. Steps down from the Logan Theater on Milwaukee, there's another place that keeps the crowds coming: Disco City Records. When it comes to music, if you favor a Latin beat, this is the place to be. Disco City carries new and old Spanish music.
We specialize in hard-to-find music: salsa, merengue, bachata, instruments, anything that has to do with music, that's what we sell.
For 30 years, Disco City has been sending satisfied customers out the door because the store policy is that they will help you find whatever you're looking for.
You can come in the store, sing some lyrics, and hopefully we can find it for you. That's something maybe on the internet you won't be able to do.
I was listening to the radio and trying to go through the internet, and I didn't find it, so I came to Disco City and I got taken care of, and I'm happy.
If you want to play a Latin beat yourself, Disco City also sells guitars, bongos, congas, and other percussion instruments. So take the number 56 bus to Logan Square, where you can try on one-of-a-kind fashions, try out some Latin rhythms, or just catch a movie you've been wanting to see. It's all there on Milwaukee Avenue.
CTA employees work hard to make stations, buses, and trains clean and comfortable for customers. But providing 1.5 million rides each day can make it challenging to keep up. A little help from customers can make all the difference. All you need is a little basic training.
Each year, the CTA spends thousands of hours cleaning trains and buses. In fact, removing the litter and food spills left by customers is a dedicated effort that happens every day and night at train terminals and bus garages, like the one at Chicago Avenue, where hundreds of buses get a daily cleaning.
We use approximately 8 people to service all my buses at Chicago Avenue Garage, but there's a lot of man hours that we take to not only sweep them, but we also general clean inside the buses.
The CTA rail cars are cleaned every time they reach the end of a line at the terminal. Rail cars that need more than a general cleaning are even taken out of service.
We take those cars off. We take them to the shop facility. We make sure that those cars are clean. We mop the train, we redo the train all over, we clean them up before we put those cars back out into service.
The litter found on the CTA's buses and trains is left behind by the inconsiderate few who do not adhere to the CTA rule posted inside train cars and buses that eating is not allowed on board. This no eating rule was established to give everyone a safe, clean, and pleasant trip on the CTA. As soon as you step on board a bus or train, you are in an enclosed space. Eating and drinking on buses or trains can create a safety hazard, and it's discourteous to all the other customers on board. If you do bring drinks or food on board a train or bus, the CTA expects that you keep lids on drinks and food inside containers until you step off the system. If you consume them while on board, you can be fined up to $300.
They're bringing their lunch in a brown bag to work. They picked up some donuts to bring to work. That's fine, as long as they're not eating it and there's no danger of spillage or bad smells. It's just a matter of keeping it closed, keeping it contained, until you get to your destination.
Station platforms and bus stops often have garbage cans nearby, so you can get rid of your trash, such as newspapers, either before or after your ride. The CTA is asking customers to do their part in helping to keep trains and buses clean. Remember to keep your drinks or food covered or contained when you're riding the system, and throw away your litter before boarding. Don't leave it on the bus or train. A little effort can go a long way.
A little courtesy, some safety, some common sense makes it a better, more pleasant ride for everybody.
As the demand for public transit continues to grow, CTA staff look ahead to projects to help meet the demand and make the best use of the existing infrastructure. The CTA is currently evaluating a plan called the Circle Line that would provide more direct connections to help keep travel plans on track.
Chicago's Loop has always served as the central meeting point for the CTA's train lines. Whether you take an elevated or subway train into the Loop, you have direct access to Chicago's central business district, as well as transfer points allowing you to travel from line to line with ease. Now, however, the CTA is exploring another option, service that would allow customers to start and end their trips without traveling through the Loop. The proposed service would improve connections between all of the CTA's rail lines, as well as Metra's commuter rail lines, to better accommodate the growth of businesses and residential areas outside of the Loop. The Circle Line is slowly taking form, thanks to a lot of community input and extensive research conducted by the CTA.
We're finding, based on our studies that we've done and visits we've made to other cities that do have a circle line concept, that it really is something that works very, very well to move people around, as well as just to build a very robust system that makes it very easy for people to get from point A to point B, and maybe even with a stop at C and D along the way.
Of course, establishing a circle line, whether it's through new transit service or by expanding existing service, is a lengthy process, which begins years in advance of actually seeing those plans become reality. The CTA is currently in the alternatives analysis process for the Circle Line project, which is just one of several steps necessary for securing funding from the Federal Transit Administration's highly competitive New Starts Grant Program.
A key part of the alternatives analysis process is not just to identify all the different physical alternatives and alignments that this transit infrastructure might take, but also to estimate the ridership and the relative costs and other factors like that.
The Circle Line's alternatives analysis study began by looking at a wide area, from Pershing Road on the south to Western Avenue on the west, to Fullerton on the north, and the lakefront on the east.
Through the analysis that's been done so far and incorporating the public input that's been provided, the corridor that is being looked at most closely runs along Ashland Avenue, roughly between Archer Avenue on the south and North Avenue on the north.
The alternatives currently under analysis include both traditional CTA heavy rail as well as bus rapid transit. The alternatives analysis study will ultimately recommend a single, locally preferred alternative. This recommendation will be based on careful analysis on what would best serve the region.
This is a major capital undertaking. It'll be an enormous investment for our system. This project not only involves improving existing infrastructure, but also adding new infrastructure, new track, and new stations serving the city in ways that are not presently available.
An integral part of the Circle Line's alternatives analysis involves reaching out to communities and customers that may be affected by the proposed project and receiving their feedback. The community meetings held in the past year have been crucial to the CTA's planning process.
Those community meetings were very informative in that they were able to not only inform us by what people's needs and concerns were, but folks asked a lot of very good questions that help us refine the direction that we're going with the project.
The CTA is continuing to seek community input on the Circle Line. Those interested in providing feedback can email comments through the Circle Line webpage on the CTA website at www.transitchicago.com or call 312-681-2708. Community input is a key part of helping the CTA plan for the future.
Throughout the process, we encourage people to remain in touch with us, whether they go to our webpage to see what's going on, come to our community meetings, or even just send us their comments or questions.
Establishing a Circle Line is a rigorous process, but as always, the CTA is dedicated to expanding and improving service for customers. The Circle Line is just another way to make that happen. The CTA will continue to obtain public input before recommending a preferred alternative and beginning detailed environmental studies and design work in the years ahead. CTA customers will once again be thrilled by ghosts and goblins as the CTA's Haunted L train travels the loop. This month, a cast of characters will ride the Haunted L, delighting children and adults alike. On October 19th, the Haunted L will start circling the loop. The train runs Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday until October 28th. Tickets for the Haunted L are free, and they can be picked up on the day of the train ride at the Visitor Information Center at the Chicago Cultural Center. So join the CTA as it celebrates Halloween with the Haunted L. You'll be in for a CTA-style trick-or-treat.
If you have a lot of places to go and you want to beat the crowds, the CTA is the best way to do it. It's tailor-made for following one of the biggest events in the city, the Chicago Marathon. All you have to do is step on board.
The LaSalle Bank Chicago Marathon is one of the premier running events in the world.
The popularity on a local, regional, and national level has just become phenomenal. This year we have 40,000 participants, which is our cap participation. We filled that number in a record rate this year.
The start and finish lines are in Grant Park, but the course takes runners and spectators on a world-class tour throughout the city. The marathon's unique route and easy accessibility for spectators are what makes this race so special.
We travel through some of the greatest neighborhoods in the city, and it's a great experience for people that have never been here or people who have been here that live here. They get to travel through some great neighborhoods and see some great people.
A great way for spectators and family members to cheer on their runners is by taking the CTA to spots along the race route. Just pick up this handy spectator and transportation guide to learn how.
The Spectator and Transportation Guide actually has a map of the course and it also showcases the key CTA stations that you'll be able to get on and off throughout the day to follow your runners.
Spectators like Pat Maynard and Joe Nemec have used the CTA to follow their friends and loved ones on the course.
It's the fastest way. You certainly cannot get around as fast in a car. Just getting around from point to point is really easy. You get to see them at the front end, at Randolph when they start off. Then we head down south to Cermak in Chinatown, which is another great area. We watch them there. We come back up on the red line, and then we see them go into the finish line at mile 26.
You're on the train with all these other people, you know, who are just there to root on their friends and loved ones and stuff. And so you see all these other people who are sharing this common experience, and it's really cool.
The Spectator Guide is available at Starbucks and at the Health and Fitness Expo the 2 days before the race, and at various key CTA viewing stations on the course. The best way to ride the CTA during the marathon is by purchasing a one-day pass. It offers unlimited rides for only $5, so you can get on and off as many times as you wish. Every year, the CTA also shows its support for the marathon through its volunteer staffers, advertising campaigns, rerouting alerts, and cross-promotion on both the CTA and Marathon's websites.
CTA wants to show its support of the marathon and also the city of Chicago. You can ride the CTA to view your runners and also to travel through the diverse neighborhoods of the city of Chicago.
LaSalle Bank Chicago Marathon's partnership with the CTA has been a great relationship, and it's really enhanced the event and enhanced the event day experience.
Whether you're a participant or a spectator, the LaSalle Bank Chicago Marathon offers a wonderful, interactive day for everyone, and the CTA can be your guide.
I really tell everybody, just go and see it. Even if you're not in it, even if you don't know anybody that's in it, just go and see it. It's great.
There's always been a strong connection between the CTA and Chicago sports teams. In fact, there are many. No matter what the season or what team you're following, the CTA has bus and train routes that can bring you right where you need to be.
No matter what sport you call your favorite, Chicago is where you'll find all the action.
Chicago is the best sports town in the nation. And Chicago sports fans, of course, are the best sports fans in the country.
And Chicago sports fans have a home field advantage when it comes to getting to the game.
Leave your car at home, take transit. It's good for the environment, it's good for your nerves, saves all that hassle, and it's a lot of fun too.
The CTA offers additional service on many of its regularly scheduled routes to help sports fans cheer on their home team. On game days, the CTA also puts special express buses into service to accommodate large crowds.
We provide additional buses. We extend the hours as necessary in order to get people home. And we also provide longer trains with longer hours as well in order to meet the demands.
With football season kicking into high gear, getting to Soldier Field is as easy as 1, 2, 3. The red, orange, and green lines all stop at Roosevelt Station. From there, you can hop on the number 12 Roosevelt bus or just walk 4 blocks east to Soldier Field. Or you can take the number 146 Inner Drive Michigan Express or the 128 Soldier Field Express, which directly serves customers coming into Ogilvie and Union stations.
It was easy for us to pick up the bus right outside Union Station. It was easy for us to park because the traffic was emptying out in that area of the city, and it was air conditioned. We liked that as well.
CTA is great. We can't tell you enough about how well it works here at Soldier Field because of the location here on the lakefront. Whether people are using the L system, and coming off the train station at Roosevelt and State Street, or whether people are coming by bus. The ridership, as we continue to track it over the years, continues to grow on the CTA because it's so convenient to use to get to Soldier Field.
In addition to football, Soldier Field hosts a number of concerts and other events throughout the year. If basketball or hockey is your game, check out the Chicago Bulls and Blackhawks at the United Center by taking the Blue Line's Forest Park branch to the Medical Center station. To get there by bus, board either the number 20 Madison, the number 50 Damon, or the number 19 United Center Express, which runs only on game and event days and runs from Michigan Avenue and Madison downtown. The Chicago Wolves hockey team and the DePaul Blue Demons basketball team call the Allstate Arena home. To get there, just take the Blue Line's O'Hare branch to the Rosemont stop. Then pick up Pace bus number 221 and you're there. For baseball enthusiasts, the Red Line is one thing both Cub and Sox fans have in common. Just get off at the Red Line's Addison stop and Wrigley Field is right next door. Or Cub fans can take the number 22 Clark bus or the number 152 Addison bus to Wrigley Field. The Red Line South stops at the 35th Street Sox Station, where U.S. Cellular Field is just a short walk west. White Sox fans can also take the Green Line to the 35th IIT stop and then board the number 35 35th Street bus heading west. To plan your next trip to see your favorite team, just pick up a CTA map.
CTA makes it especially easy for the sports fan to figure out where they want to go and how to get there.
Event service begins 2 hours before game time and continues 2 to 3 hours afterwards. So you can take your time both coming and going.
Save time and above all, save hassles. Ride with our team to get to your team.
There are a number of major art museums in Chicago, from the world-renowned Art Institute to hidden treasures like the one we're heading to next. The Smart Museum of Art is our last stop.
Venture to Hyde Park for a visit to the Smart Museum of Art, where you can immerse yourself in artwork from around the world. In 1974, the Smart Museum opened its doors on the University of Chicago campus. Inside the museum's intimate galleries, you can view works ranging from the ancient world to creations by renowned artists such as painter Mark Rothko and sculptor Auguste Rodin. The museum's collection also includes work by artists who started their careers in Chicago in the 1960s and 70s at the nearby Hyde Park Art Center.
It has really become one of the parts of our collecting mission to include works by these artists that in many ways their careers were launched by what was happening at the Hyde Park Art Center.
Most recently, the Smart Museum of Art has been recognized internationally for its extensive collection of contemporary Chinese photography.
The CTA's journey around Chicagoland picks up here next month, so be sure to tune in. I'm Dale Rivera. Thanks for watching Connections.
For more information about the CTA or to use the RTA's trip planner, visit our website at www.transitchicago.com, or for customer service matters, call 1-888-YOUR-CTA. For travel information, call the RTA at 836-7000 from anywhere in the Chicago area.
Ha ha ha.